Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of Dismal Disney. We're going to talk about Disney stock and Yahoo Finance saying that it's really not worth buying.
Shocker, I tell you. Shocker.
Shocker, yeah. And that they have a lot of negatives. And so I would not look for their stock to rebound anytime soon. And that's even with some of their movies doing better at the box office. They said that there are so many negatives right now with Disney that it's going to offset their gains.
It doesn't matter because their gains were last year.
Yeah.
Like, I do not think that Captain America is going to do great. I do not think that Snow White's going to do great. They might do okay with Fantastic Four. Lilo and Stitch might be okay. But Elio, I don't think is going to do that great. I don't think they have a lot of big wins like last year. Inside Out 2, Moana 2, and Deadpool, Wolverine. Yes. Yeah. But this year, I don't think I think investors are looking at what's coming up and there's nothing that's super exciting.
Yeah, and they talk about a lot of things that we've talked about in this. They talk about how they're spending so much money up front on cruise ships, and that might not be smart. They're talking about how they're betting too heavily on streaming, and they haven't really hit turbulence yet on that. They're talking about how their theme parks are going to have major competition. So it's a pretty interesting read.
It's almost like we know what we're talking about. Imagine that.
Imagine that. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to clownfishminus.com and check out our merch. Join our Plus Club. We have these Dismal Kingdom parody t-shirts and glasses out there. You can celebrate the magic going poof.
You should do a hat.
I should do a hat. Yeah. I don't think it'd be funny if it was like an ear hat. Like the,
You're not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to do that. As people have found out, they've done their own unofficial ear bands or whatever, and they got in trouble for it. But yeah, it's not an official Disney product. Is parody. So this is coming from Yahoo Finance, and Disney's stock is kind of parody at this point. Remember a couple of years ago when it was over $200 a share, and everybody's like, look, Clownfish. Disney is going to be great, and then it crashed like right.
You said it's not going to stay there, and it didn't.
It's not going to stay there.
Well, you know, if they had let Peltz have a seat on the board, I think we'd be better. They'd be in a better place right now. If we're going to be honest,
would be. Yeah, they would be.
They spent all that money to fight him. I think if they had just let him on the board, we'd be looking at higher numbers.
I think it's consumer confidence or lack of consumer confidence, and you know, what is going on here now is that they're looking at the long-term future of Disney, and it's not looking fantastic.
Well, they should have been looking at this the whole time. We've been telling them this. Like, this is anybody been watching this can see that the long-term wasn't great.
Well, the only reason, and we've done a couple of videos talking about it, the only reason they've gotten rid of DEI is because they knew it was affecting their bottom line. It's not because they wanted to.
No. They're just going to call it something else. They're still going to push things through. I don't think they're going to be as over the top ridiculous like we saw with the Jungle Cruise and Small World and Splash Mountain like they were, but they're going to keep doing it.
So this is, again, this comes from Yahoo Finance, tip ranks. Can Disney stock regain its magic, or is it a sinking ship? They said the entertainment powerhouse peaked between 2012 and 2019. Because of Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar, including the launch of Disney Plus in 2019 and 2025, Disney's fortunes have changed.
Well, wait a second. You see that Disney launched in 2019, and their peak was 2012 to 2019. Because as soon as they got Disney Plus, they completely ruined everything.
Well, they went all in on Disney Plus, and then of course we had the pandemic. Couple months after, right? So that's understandable to a point, but
that's been years ago now. That's no longer an excuse.
Oh, they're going to use it as an excuse.
It would be a dip at the time. Thing is, actually, I would argue the pandemic should have that would have boosted them. Disney survived what they did, a lot of the closures and stuff because they had Disney Plus and the pandemic. The pandemic should have boosted them with Disney Plus, and temporarily it did. But they have ruined all of their franchises by pandering to Disney Plus. I would even argue that a lot of theatrical releases would have done better, but people are waiting because they know if they wait, they can watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's true. They said that there was a brief gurgle of outperformance following the COVID-19 pandemic. Because what happened was, people had the quote unquote pent up demand. A lot of people that put their trips off during the pandemic, they finally took those vacations.
It was basically screw you COVID trips.
Yeah, it was a screw you COVID trip. But then people went back and they're like, wow, Disney's not as good as it used to be. It's not as good of a value as it used to be. They said in Q4, the results published on February 5th, right? Total revenues magically crept up 5% year over year to $24.7 billion. But Disney's legacy TV decline and growing pains in its direct-to-consumer division remained formidable hurdles. Parks and Experiences once again came through as the main engine of growth.
Yeah, but they're mentioning the fact that came through as a main engine of growth because they're nickel and diming the customers they have left. Attendance is down. Now, overseas, the attendance is up. Attendance is down domestically. They're just nickel and diming the guests that they have left, and that's the reason why they eked out a 5% increase on that.
Yeah, and the thing is that the overseas parks are better. They're better.
Yeah, well, they're cheaper, and people, the attendance is going up overseas.
Yeah, people would rather. I mean, if you got to fly anyway, you might as well fly to Tokyo and go to Tokyo. It's a much, much better park because Disney doesn't have complete control of it, right? But they said, yeah, there are signs that Disney's ship is taking on water as it traverses increasingly rougher market seas. Combine that with an overvalued share price despite its prolonged lagging of peers and benchmarks.
Yes.
Not to mention anemic capital returns, and I see more risk than reward at current levels.
I agree.
So that's not good. They said that their valuation has progressively worsened since COVID-19. They're talking about how legacy TV, and this is something that's come up before with other companies. I mean, it's so bad that Comcast is spinning off all their cable channels just to try to get rid of them because they're dead weight. But they said, yeah, Disney's linear TV networks continue to wind down, a trend I've been tracking across the industry.
Here's the thing with that, though. Like he said, it's industry-wide. She said, it's industry-wide. Linear TV is dying to streaming anyway. I don't think Disney can really do much about that, if we're going to be fair. It's going to happen no matter what. It's happening across the board. Everybody is gone to streaming. Linear TV just is not where it's at. It just isn't. And I think that that's going to fail no matter what. I think what's going to happen is the streaming is going to pick up, and everybody's putting their money into advertising. The thing is, they're turning streaming now into more expensive linear TV.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
And it's going to blow up in the fact that people are going to eventually just get tired of it, and they're going to limit because they can't afford to pay. It's cable on steroids, and they're not going to be able to afford it for it soon. But you already killed linear because you want the ad. You're just doing everything you did on linear, but you're doing it on streaming. You're making them pay for the service and pay for the ads.
They said that they got a little bit of a boost from political ads on linear.
Well, yeah, I think everybody did.
Yeah, everybody did. But they said Disney's international side fared worse, though. Now, here's the thing. This is supposed to save their asses, and it's not. They said revenues plunged 31% following the shift of Star India assets into a joint venture with Reliance Industries. In my view, we can expect further erosion in the division as consumers grow ever more satisfied with on-demand platforms.
Okay, here's the thing about that one, too. They're going to start pivoting, I think, to charging people more. I think it's going to be like you can watch so many matches or whatever, and then you have to pay more over there. So they're going to start making what people were used to getting more paid for. So it's going to bite them in the ass there, too, with like cricket and stuff.
Yeah. They said right now management seems more focused on managing the decline. That's why they're not putting anything into Disney Channel now. They're basically just like rerunning stuff and
they shut it down in a lot of countries. Disney Channel's been shut down in lots of countries. Disney
Channel was their crown jewel for a long time. And I mean, we had so many celebrities, come out of Disney Channel. It was like the most viewed channel for teens. It drove attendance to the parks because they constantly had all the Disney Channel kids going to the theme parks.
Yeah.
And then they just said, you know what? Yeah, we don't really care. We don't really care anymore. We're just going to go with Disney Plus, and that's it. And the kids didn't go to Disney Plus. The kids went to YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah, YouTube is kicking Disney's ass.
Oh, yeah. Everybody is. Tubi's starting to kick their ass now, too.
Well, yeah. You said that was going to happen. You said they're going to take their Disney's money and then beat them with it. And that's what they did.
Yeah, Fox. So for those of you who don't know, Tubi is owned by Rupert Murdoch, Fox News. And Disney paid him $72 billion.
71 point something billion.
For the old 20th Century Fox assets. And most of that stuff wasn't worth anything. And then Murdoch turned around and spent, I think it was only like $400 million to buy Tubi. So they already had a streaming service ready to go. And then they just filled it up with Fox content.
And then they start getting other content, anime and stuff. And now they're getting to stream the Super Bowl and everything else. And they're
Yeah, they're kicking
ass. Disney's ass. So it's funny because you said this is way back when, 2019 or whatever, 2020 when he bought it or somewhere in there. You're like, oh, he's going to use, if I was him, I'd use Disney's money to beat them. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, because he bought Tubi for a fraction of what Disney paid to build Disney Plus from the ground up. You could have just bought another streaming service that was kind of floundering because they were all for sale and spent like Disney could have done the same thing. They could have just bought Tubi and been like, fine, we'll just buy Tubi and then we'll just,
change it how we want it. Yeah.
Yeah, change it how we want it. And
so now Tubi's kicking their ass.
Yep, because they're not smart. They're really not. So they're arrogant.
Yeah, Iger's very arrogant, yes.
So they said direct-to-consumer actually did better than it did last year. It did $293 million following a $138 million loss last year. But, and direct-to-consumer would include Disney Plus and Hulu. They said subscriber figures remain a mixed bag. Disney Plus Core lost 700,000 subs. And now they have a total of 125 million.
And that would have been with those deals they were throwing at everybody trying to get this. What would it have been if they hadn't done those deals?
Yeah.
It would have been a lot worse.
For perspective, Hulu notched a modest 3% growth to 53.6 million. Netflix still crushes Disney Plus in scale, boasting 301 million paying subscribers.
And YouTube is starting to beat both of them.
Yes. Now, here's where it's interesting because almost all their money came from parks and experiences, and they're saying it's a shrinking powerhouse. They said,
yeah, because you can only gouge people so long until they stop doing it.
Looking at Disney's parks and experiences division and its numbers in isolation, it's hard to ignore the stability it provides for the broader company. Revenue hit $9.4 billion, up 3% year over year, reflecting how deeply embedded Disney's theme parks are in the cultural fabric. And yet,
because it went up because people paid more, not the attendance. Attendance was only up 1%.
And yet a 5% dip in domestic operating income, largely thanks to hurricane-related closures.
It wasn't that much. It was $120 million. That, we're talking like a small amount. I mean, it was like only a couple days, and some of it impacted the cruise ships as well. But they were really trying to leverage that it was the hurricanes that did damage. It wasn't. They only like $120 million that was lost. So, and you compare it to the billions, it's really not a lot of money. That's a load of shit.
They said that a lot of the costs were tied to new cruise ships, and they talk about the cruise ships specifically.
That's it, the cruise ships.
They signal that growth is becoming trickier. Overseas is actually doing well because the parks overseas are better.
Now, they're counting on these cruise ships, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to reach critical mass, and I think people are going to stop going. Because right now, there's a demand for the cruise ships. They're putting them, they're going to move some of the ships over to California to go up to Alaska. They have ones going to Australia. They have ones going different places. They're trying to, spread it out more. And they're going to go with a joint venture with people who own Disney in Japan. The problem is they want to have 13 cruise ships by like 2030 something. But here's the issue. Some of the ones they're doing now are smaller ships. The demand isn't going to be there. Like, you're going to oversaturate the market. And where you can fill up the ships now, are you going to be able to fill them up when you have 13 of them?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They're looking at that as like, oh, we're printing money to a point, and you're going to oversaturate it.
Yeah, they said the new cruise line expansions might capture some extra dollars. Launching massive ships like the Disney Treasure comes with hefty upfront investments, evident in the declining free cash flow in Q4 2024. In my view, this is the person writing the article, Disney's parks and experiences may be close to hitting saturation point in the near term. It may even require further investment before the business unit returns to its majestic good times. They said basically per capita spending is going to hit a peak because people are not willing to spend money on the tickets like they were.
Well, it's too expensive. I mean, it was okay when you had the ticket and then you could go in and you could actually get on attractions. But now you get the ticket just to get in the door for the honor of shopping and eating. If you want to ride, you might get a couple rides in. But if you want to actually ride rides and you have to pay more. And who's going to want to do that? And those premier passes are selling out, which I don't understand how. They're going to hit peak price in March, beginning of March, $450 to go for Magic Kingdom to get a premier pass. So you already paid $170 or $80 and some dollars a ticket. Then you have to pay another $450 to be able to actually, get on the rides.
Right.
I'm like, who's going to effing do that?
Valuation capital returns don't form an opportunity. They said that given Disney's soft results, stock doesn't strike me as a bargain despite its lagging performance over the past year. You could argue that the market has already priced in most of the linear TV declines and streaming uncertainty. I believe there's more downside risk if streaming growth doesn't ramp up quickly. Meanwhile, Disney's capital returns remain minimal. Both the dividend and buybacks are negligible, along with Disney still trading at a forward P of about 20 times. I'm not compelled to justify the execution risk tied to the linear TV unwind and the uphill streaming battle.
I think the linear TV thing's going to happen either, regardless. It's going to happen no matter what. It's happening across the board. The problem is they need to get Disney Plus up, and I don't know if they can because what they're putting out is subpar.
Right.
I mean, when you're looking at them, they're not even making the list of the top 10, top 20 shows.
They said Wall Street's outlook on the Disney stock seems more encouraging than his is. They said buy, but they said Disney isn't ready for the media streaming rough seas. Disney's various segments tell an elaborate story of a company trying to find its footing in a transformed media landscape. The stock still looks overpriced for a business facing uphill battles in linear TV, DTC, subscriber growth, and park capacity constraints.
Here's the thing, though. They did it to themselves. Like, all these places are having trouble with linear TV, but all these streaming companies did it to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't all need a streaming service.
Yeah, and that was it. Like, Disney, I mean, honestly, they could, I mean, it saved their ass during the pandemic, but they could have just put their content on other platforms, right?
Yeah, they could just make content, made deals with Netflix, made deals with Tubi. Yeah. And they could have, got paid for their content. So they would have got paid for their content. They would have, they would have had money, then they could have focused on other things. It's just that not just Disney, these other places like Peacock and stuff, you made your own problems.
Wraps up with my take is that Disney's good news, like the DTC profit milestone, doesn't offset the harsh reality ahead. While I'd be happy to see fresh catalysts that spark genuine upsides, I can't find a compelling reason to invest in this diversified entertainment and media enterprise right now.
Right. So that's why they're not even doing anything well. Like, they used to do theme parks really well, and now they're going to get their asses kicked by Epic Universe, and some of the announcements and changes they're going to do, people aren't happy about. Things they have done were very small, minor things, like adding a vagina garden with the lights that don't work, People aren't thrilled with it. You're not giving them anything good. No. And you're doing that. Then you have the whole thing, you're spending all your time on Disney Plus, but you're not doing that well. And you're just spread so thin. And none of those things are anything that you're doing extremely well.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think that if Peltz had come back in, he brought Jay Rizzullo with him, I think it would have forced Disney to focus on being Disney again. And I just think Iger's plan for Disney is short-sighted. I don't think he cares about the legacy of the Walt Disney Company.
He cares about his legacy.
He cares about his legacy. He cares about, making the shareholders happy quarter to quarter and surviving.
He cares about making sure that he's still important and he gets invited to the best restaurants.
Oh, God.
And I'm not joking. That's what he cares about. That everybody kisses his ass and remembers that he's important.
We can only hope that whoever the replacement for Bob Iger is actually has their head screwed on straight and that they're looking at Disney as being like, look, this is a brand that has long-term value as long as we take care of it. But I have a feeling he's going to pick a replacement that's another Bob Iger.
I think so. And then they're going to be actually able to do their job because Chapek wasn't. Yeah, Iger was breathing down his neck, and you better be Iger 2.0. And it's like, because Iger's done such a great job so far. Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.